You. Yeah, you. You want to buy something good?
What are you buying?
Something to get you through the day. Oh, you do, huh? Then put your hands up and get on the ground, Chief. We got one. Here comes. So you thought you could get away with this, huh? Buying drugs, selling false hope, all in broad daylight too. You disgust me. Huh? You didn't want to buy Kool-Aid packets? You wanted a book? Don't lie to me. You really approached a stranger in an alleyway for a book recommendation? Okay. I'll bite. What were you looking for? A manga? Ah, a man of culture, I see. Then I may have something for you. Smell that? That's some good reading right there. You want to know what it's about? Don't you smell the amazing writing, art, story elements, and you don't? Fine. I'll tell you why you need to read this. I know that this is probably the weirdest intro to a video. Sue me. Please don't. But I wanted to introduce you guys to a new series that I've been thoroughly enjoying as of late. The goal is to provide some positive points about this manga series to hopefully encourage your interest in reading it. There will be some minor spoilers, but I will contain it to the first 20 chapters. Without further ado, first slide, please. Characters and world. Within this world, you're introduced to Elma Edvon. This noble and heir to the Edvon name is about to receive his class from the priest. During the ceremony, he recalls his memories from his past life and remembers that this world is just like a game from his previous life. That game, or VRMMORPG, was called Magic World. Creative, I know. Regardless, with this new knowledge, he wishes for the Heavy Knight class. He gets his wish, but at the cost of his father's love and affection. Disappointed, he kicks Elma out of the home and gives the position of Edvon heir to his cousin Malice, who, unlike Elma, gains the Sword Saint class. Elma, being depressed but not defeated, uses his knowledge to make a plan for success. Now, there are various elements that make up characters. One such element is the personality and how that personality either complements or clashes with others. Those who are aware, there are a variety of personality types and classifications of those personalities. For example, we can break characters down based on whether they're extroverted or introverted, thinking or feeling, or judgmental or perceptive. These are further made complicated by Myers-Briggs personality types. Yay. We don't need to get that complicated though, but we can use this to determine various things about the character in question. Elma, for example, faces many adversities during his early run. So, early chapters. He faces discrimination based on his class, is looked down upon, and accused of stealing after working so hard to acquire magic stones all on his own. Yet he moves forward, often knowing the next best move. We can call Elma the ideal RPG player. Analytical, process-oriented, and very organized. However, he does clash often with those who judge solely based on class and looks. Basically, those who assume a good class equals success in all aspects of life, and those individuals who fail to plan ahead, of course. This can be seen multiple times as he interacts with adventurers in the town. Many individuals like Tail and Klein are prime examples of those who believe that class alone are enough, and those with quote-unquote trash classes are misfortunate and incapable of success. On the other hand, though, another main protagonist, named Lucy, is a character with the quote-unquote trash class of clown. She is the opposite of Elma in various respects. Elma's more reserved while Lucy is more vocal. Elma is analytical and Lucy is more free-spirited. Elma sticks hard to plans while Lucy is more flexible. The two have to overcome a key conflict in the series that is guided by one theme. Oh wow, what a great transition. Theme. The overarching theme of the story, in my opinion, lines up with the majority of conflicts the two individuals face. What defines your worth? According to his father and other adventurers, your worth is based upon your class. Elma's father was disappointed that Elma received a defensive class and disowned him immediately. Father of the Year, I know. This created the question of why. Why couldn't his father be happy for him or work with him to see his potential with this class? Much like the theme of My Hero Academia. The conflicts of various arcs and chapters create circumstances to answer or support the theme of the series. For My Hero, the theme is what makes a hero. On the surface, surface level answer, a hero is someone who is revered by the public, saves people, and contributes positively to society. They're like the idols, the icons of the world. While throughout the series, we are confronted with situations where we have to ask this question and come to a conclusion that typically betrays the surface level answer, right? The same is done here. For Elma's father, one's worth is based upon their class and not their abilities to overcome adversity through hard work and perseverance. Basically, if you get a certain class, you're stuck in that situation. There's nothing you can do. Malice, who gets a kick out of seeing people fail, agrees with this sentiment, of course. Elma helps to alter this narrative with his knowledge and understanding of the Magic World game. He takes the steps necessary to overcome deadly situations and essentially rise to the top. He even helps Lucy find utility for her skills and class. He states that while they are in, dungeon diving, which is key in this series, that there is no such thing as a useless class or skill. Some may be late bloomers, but every single skill has a purpose. Those who are true RPG enjoyers understand that well. This means that everyone has a purpose and a way to find success in this world, much like our own world. Many feel that others have a leg up in life based on their race, gender, status, and so on. Those we see as legends are those who rise despite those barriers, who are successful despite those obstacles in their way. Elma is no different. Elma can show the utility of the Heavy Knight class by racking on accolades and accomplishments, and thus answering the question, what defines his worth? Is it his class or how he uses it? Oh wow, the ocean looks beautiful. Setting and guiding force. So I got a question for you, beautiful individuals out there in the audience. What makes a character or story stagnant? You don't know? Well, I'll answer it for you. Easy. The lack of conflict. When there is no conflict, there is no action nor tension. The absence of conflict and tension creates a feeling of inactivity. The best way to describe this feeling is with other popular anime and manga. Let's use One Punch Man versus Sword Art Online. Many will say that Saitama is a bland character due to his lack of struggles. Literally the strongest character in that entire series, right? However, his struggles are on display literally during the first episode if you only watch the anime, but also in the first few chapters if you read the manga. An overpowered character bored with boring fights. He feels that being overpowered has taken away his ability to feel. This emotional turmoil is key to helping the audience sympathize with him. It is also important that despite all he does, remember, he takes out so many monsters easily and quickly, he doesn't get any recognition. He even gets accused of taking credit from other higher class heroes or more well-known heroes. Kind of like that, the whole theme with My Hero. Interesting, comparison there. However, there's still conflicts. They still create a path for the story to kind of take. The presentation also helps the hero. It is presented in a way that makes these emotional and relational conflicts massive through the eyes of Saitama, right? Because we cannot imagine ourselves as overpowered. However, through his eyes and seeing how quickly he dispatches every enemy, imagine how boring that is and how that could ruin your relationship with other people, especially when they accuse you of, just taking credit for what other people do. A lot of us get that feeling a lot, especially working at KFC and Taco Bell for, almost got personal there. On the other hand, we got Kirito from Sword Art Online, aka the most boring character ever written. I'm sorry, I don't like him. This trash character suffers from the opposite problem. No conflict is too hard for him. Even death can't stop this man. He immediately becomes one of the strongest characters in the game with little effort or explanation except for being the best beta tester of all time. Because that was kind of the setup, right? There were all these other beta testers, but out of all of them, he's the chosen one. At the end of season 1, Kirito and Asuna die in the game. Remember? Despite this, remember, Asuna died way before Kirito, but she's still alive. Kirito also dies, but he's still alive. Whatever. Despite this and everyone else who died in the game, literally dying in real life, they somehow survive to ensure a second season, of course. This has little to no explanation. He is so overpowered that he overcomes every challenge and new game with ease. This trends for every single season afterwards. It's showcased in season 2, in season 3, and that's as far as I went. He becomes an expert in game mechanics easily, and the only explanation is he has the quickest reflexes. And I'm like, what? Anyway, lame and utter. Either way, conflict propels the story and creates intrigue. Now, I don't want to, completely crap on Sword Art Online. There is conflict, but a lot of times it's more relationally. Even when something seems impossible, Kirito overcomes it. Now, again, in both shoes, we have Saitama, who is overpowered and able to overcome everything because he's proven that. However, Kirito, on the other hand, just appears to be able to luck his way out of every situation where everyone else around him is just getting killed. And then when it actually comes down to him dying, because most of the conflict I recall from season 1 was, oh, there's this girl who really loves him, but he's already committed to Asuna. And it's like, that's the conflict most of the time. Or he gets someone killed and it's like, oh, I'm so sorry. They weren't as strong as me. Right? Now, again, the conflict and tension in season 1 was a lot more heavy, right? Because they were literally dying. Now, again, once you go into season 2 and season 3, that the conflict and the tension or risk pretty much diminished to nothing. So in terms of comparison, there is still conflict and it does help move the plot along. I do have my bias, of course. Everyone has their bias. I did watch and I did like season 1. But after season 1, season 2, and season 3, well, beginning with season 2, the whole cousin thing, just fell apart for me because a death game, where if you die in the game, you die in real life, does not compare to, oh, I'm just trying to save my, my wife, whatever, from this creepy dude who has her brain still stuck in the computer world, right? So anyway, regardless of how good or bad the conflict is, it helps to create that intrigue and propel the story along. And it even creates those roadblocks where it's like, okay, now I've reached this point, what now? Or you'll run into an opponent who's so strong that you're like, okay, I lost, but I have a chance to, I'm still alive, or they bring them back, whatever it is. The conflict keeps you interested in the story. That's typically how I think of it. When the conflict is gone, your interest is gone and you drop it. Now, in terms of conflict, they can come from either the setting itself or from interactions that we have already seen. For this story, the setting itself is governed by a god called Alvaraz. This individual created everything and 4 minor gods. However, as time progressed, he started to lose his mind. Being sealed away by those he created, he rested in silence. But his nightmares created dungeons called dream holes. These dungeons, if left unconquered, can lead to monsters entering the world and causing destruction and mayhem. This can have unknown and unforeseen consequences, right? Within the dungeons themselves, there are unknown factors too. Again, everything I'm talking about is contained within the first 20 chapters, but not to spoil anything. The dungeon bosses are known as Dream Lords, right? These Dream Lords have an interesting and unique quirk, and I love this about this. This was an idea I didn't even think about, but I like it. Instead of residing in one room and waiting for the hero to come and vanquish them, to defeat the dungeon, right? They can wander the halls of their own dungeon. So imagine you're playing an RPG and you're just killing a whole bunch of low-level mobs, and then you get jumped by the boss themselves. That's terrifying. And this is another aspect of the story that makes it interesting. Death is final. Remember that, final. There's no someone's gonna bring you back or buy some Sword Art Online. Why didn't you just kill Kirito? Whatever. The danger of comparing a game to real life is impossible. In the game, we can acquire skills foreign to our lives, we can reset, and death has little to no consequences in video games. Death in the real world is final, unlike Sword Art Online. Either way, we've already discussed the various conflicts that occur due to competing views and values. These conflicts are the guiding force of the story. And you'll see more of that as you progress through the story itself. Where, let's just say, like for the first one, relationally, where the falling out that Elma had with his family propelled him to make a name for himself and become self-sufficient. They shot me in the knee. How did they know it was my weakness? All that glitters is not gold. These weaknesses can be in favor or against the story. One example of a good weakness is Elma's knowledge. The selling point of this series is that Elma knows everything about this world due to playing a specific game. Now, I'm going to preface this. I know a lot of people are tired of that isekai formula where it's like there's some kid who wakes up and suddenly has the memories of his previous life. And because that, the new world is based on a video game, he just knows everything, makes the best decisions. However, this weakness really made it interesting and kept me reading. This knowledge has and will aid Elma in overcoming many things throughout this series. However, the same knowledge can lure him into a sense of invincibility. He understands the danger, but, the best way to personify this is when he fights the Dream Lord itself. While fighting, he acknowledges that this 4-on-1 fight is difficult but manageable. With his information, everything he knows is what's helping him stay alive. Unfortunately, unlike a video game, the monsters are capable of learning. He finds this out quick. And this very moment proves how inflexible Elma is when the unknown happens. It turns his advantage into a liability, because you would assume that he's able to just truck through. But even with another fight that he has early on, where even though he has the knowledge, it does very little. It helps him avoid danger. And he thinks, that kind of builds that confidence in his head that as long as I know what to do and look out for, I'm safe. But this fight again proves that you're not in the video game. All that knowledge based off of playing hours and hours of a video game do not translate to when these things are actually living and breathing. Them being able to learn and use tactics against him, because it's like you think you're the only one using strategies. But then when the enemy just suddenly starts thinking, all right, this guy likes spamming this move, so I'll use a defensive shield now and then a counterattack. That is something we're not ready for. And an enemy or a boss that learns from what we do. And I think that's a good weakness to have, because again, it grounds Elma as a character and keeps him relatable to the reader, right? Because a lot of times, especially when I read Isekai, I do love that genre. It is very junky. There's so few good ones. But that is something that gets on my nerves a lot, where it's like the character is just automatically overpowered from the get-go. And it takes you out of the realm of believability. But because he's making the best decisions possible, what any other person with that knowledge would do, he seems more relatable to the reader. But as soon as the person becomes like this omnipotent individual who literally becomes God themselves by the power and knowledge that they have, you lose the reader. They can't relate to that. This story is a lot more believable, as in it's a slow burn, and I think that's the most important part, versus my knowledge, and I will use all my knowledge to immediately go from level 0 to 100 in 3 days. No. That doesn't happen here. So it keeps him more grounded, more interesting, and more relatable to the reader. Now, on the other hand, a weakness that diminishes the story, at least for me, I'm saying for me, is the character of Malice. Due to some translation issues with where I was reading it, the character is later known as Maris. This character has a twisted obsession with showing up Elma, and I feel like she's just trying to kill this dude. Even after providing a loose explanation for this personality, it didn't connect with me. I personally do not like the psycho and crazy girl archetype that much. Sometimes I feel like it was kind of forced and adds very little to the story. This one is, the case for me. Elma hasn't done anything that bad to warrant her wanting to show him up and kill him. Regardless, this character could have at least been toned down or have the backstory that could have bolstered her, like create an actual realistic, understandable motivation, like suffering a humiliating defeat, or could have taken the Hyuga route. Like literally, with the Hyugas, it was like the side branch is literally used to sacrifice themselves and prolong the main branch. And Neji was like, bro, that's messed up. I want to carve my own path. I don't want to be a sacrifice. I can live my own life. It's my life, Bon Jovi. But either way, personally, as a character, I don't like her. But it doesn't matter. Her run is pretty short, and she quite literally gets kicked to the wall quick. Oh, we're at the last slide already. Good Lord. What makes it unique? To me, it could be labeled as a typical isekai series. However, the approach to storytelling, characters, and events compels me to continue. If you favor keen storytelling, captivating characters, and even events such as that, I think this would be the story for you. Again, this is just my personal opinion, my recommendation. In addition, there is an anime adaptation in the works. It's on the horizon. I think it's being released in 2026. Despite the unfortunate choice of animation studio, go hands or go overboard with camera angles and muted colors, I'm looking forward to it. It will bring recognition to the series that I personally adore very, very much. Well, that's it. You can leave now and take that book with you. Oh. Take them down, boys. Looks like you're going to the clink. Keep the book, you filthy animal. Well, thank you guys for watching all the way to the end. This series will continue with various other manga, book, anime, and various other media recommendations. If you have any series of books in mind that you love to see a video about, comment it down below, or let me know if you'll be checking out the Heavy Knight is Reincarnated, or it's the Reincarnated Heavy Knight. I always get tongue-tied. The Reincarnated Heavy Knight is unrivaled in game knowledge. Check it out. Make sure to hit like for more content, and until next time, keep reading.